The courtroom went silent the second the number was read out loud. 85%. That was what she wanted. Not half. Not support. Not shared custody terms. Almost everything. The businesses. The properties. The investments. The accounts. Years of work. Years of sacrifice. She wanted the court to hand it over. And the terrifying part was this. At first it looked like she might actually win. If stories like this pull you in, stay till the end. Because one forgotten document is about to destroy a story that looked impossible to challenge. The husband sat quietly beside his attorneys. Tailored suit, tired eyes, no expression. The silence around him felt heavy, not defensive, not emotional, just controlled. That calmness made him look cold, and in a divorce courtroom, cold men lose quickly, especially when children are involved. The wife looked completely different, emotional, soft-spoken, composed just enough to seem believable. She spoke carefully, never too dramatic, never too aggressive, just hurt enough. That balance made her convincing. The courtroom leaned toward her almost immediately. She described years of loneliness, long business trips, late nights, ignored birthdays, empty promises. She painted the image slowly, a successful Nigerian businessman living in the United States who cared more about money than family. It landed exactly the way she wanted. Then came the accusations, disloyalty, emotional abandonment, secretive behavior. She implied there were other women, never enough to fully prove it, but enough to poison the room. The judge listened carefully. The attorneys took notes. Even people sitting in the back began looking at the husband differently. The wife continued. She said she gave up everything for the marriage. Her own ambitions, her career path, her independence. She claimed she carried the emotional weight of the home while he built wealth in silence. And now, after years of sacrifice, she said she deserved security, not only for herself, for the children. That part hit hardest. Because once children enter the conversation, emotion starts overpowering logic. The courtroom shifted deeper toward her side. The husband still said nothing. Not angry, not defensive, just watching. That silence started making people uncomfortable. Because innocent people usually fight harder. At least that's what everyone thinks. The wife's legal team moved confidently. They presented financial records, property valuations, company shares, luxury purchases. The numbers were staggering. Years earlier, the husband arrived in America with almost nothing. Now he owned multiple businesses across different states. Real estate, warehouses, transportation contracts. Success built through years of relentless work, and now it sat exposed inside a courtroom. The wife's attorneys argued that she played a major role in helping him reach that level. Supporting him emotionally, raising the children, managing the home. They said she deserved the larger share, because the lifestyle depended on sacrifices invisible on paper. It sounded powerful, reasonable even. The judge remained neutral, but the atmosphere inside the room was shifting dangerously against the husband. Then the wife said something that changed the energy completely. She claimed she feared him emotionally, not physically, emotionally. She described manipulation, control, isolation. The courtroom grew quieter, because accusations like that linger, even without evidence. The husband's attorneys exchanged brief looks. Still no interruption, still no attack. That patience felt strange, almost risky. The wife wiped tears carefully. Not too much, just enough. The performance felt natural. The children were mentioned again. Private schools, medical expenses, future stability. The courtroom absorbed every word. The husband finally leaned toward one of his attorneys. A quiet whisper, nothing more. Then silence again. The wife's team pushed harder. They introduced travel logs, frequent business trips, missed anniversaries, late-night meetings, everything framed to support one idea. A man obsessed with wealth and disconnected from his family. And honestly, it worked. Even the judge looked more serious now. Then the first crack appeared, small, easy to miss. One attorney asked a simple question about finances inside the marriage. Routine question, nothing dramatic. The wife answered confidently. She claimed she had little access to major accounts, little knowledge of company operations, minimal involvement in financial decisions. The answer sounded believable until the attorney asked about a specific transfer, a large one. The wife hesitated, barely noticeable, but it was there. Then she answered carefully, said she did not remember. The courtroom moved on quickly, but something shifted. Quietly, the husband still said nothing. That silence now felt less defensive and more calculated. The wife's team continued presenting emotional arguments, sacrifice, pain, motherhood. The atmosphere leaned towards sympathy again, but the defense had started watching differently now. Not emotionally, precisely. Another financial record appeared, then another and another, each tied to accounts connected to the family. The defense attorney finally stood, slowly, deliberately. The room straightened immediately, because until now, the defense had barely fought back. That alone made people pay attention. The attorney walked toward the evidence table, holding a thin folder. Nothing flashy, no dramatic movement, just a folder. Then came the question, simple, direct. Did the wife recognize a certain overseas account number? She answered no immediately, too quickly. The defense attorney nodded calmly, then placed printed bank records onto the screen. Wire transfers, repeated ones, large amounts. The account belonged to someone else, someone not connected to the marriage. The courtroom shifted slightly. The wife's expression changed for the first time. Not panic, but calculation. The defense attorney continued carefully. The transfers stretched back almost 2 years, hidden through layered accounts. The wife claimed they were family support payments overseas. The explanation sounded possible, until the attorney revealed luxury hotel bookings connected to the same account activity. The room became still, very still. The wife's attorney objected immediately, but the damage had started. The judge allowed limited continuation, and suddenly the perfect image no longer looked perfect. The defense revealed travel records, secret flights, private reservations, trips taken during periods when the husband was allegedly neglecting the family through work travel. The timeline became uncomfortable. Then came the next twist, recovered messages, deleted months earlier, but preserved inside cloud backups. The defense moved carefully now, not aggressive, methodical. The messages revealed conversations between the wife and another man, not casual conversations, romantic ones, strategic ones, discussions about timing, about money, about preparing for divorce before the husband even suspected trouble. The courtroom atmosphere changed instantly. People stopped looking at the husband the same way. The wife tried staying composed, but cracks were appearing. The defense revealed discussions about documenting emotional reactions, trying to provoke arguments, trying to create evidence. The courtroom felt colder now, because manipulation always changes how silence looks in hindsight. The husband's silence no longer seemed guilty. It started looking disciplined, controlled, necessary. The wife's attorneys tried redirecting focus back toward the children, but the emotional balance had shifted. Doubt entered the room, and once doubt enters, certainty dies quickly. The judge requested a recess. People whispered immediately. The atmosphere outside the courtroom exploded with speculation. Some still defended the wife. Others began questioning everything she said earlier. But the biggest shock had not arrived yet. When court resumed, the defense introduced a forensic financial analyst. Calm, precise, unemotional. The analyst explained how funds moved quietly between accounts over time. Not random spending, structured movement, intentional concealment. The numbers painted a different story entirely, one involving planning, preparation, and hidden coordination. Then another revelation hit. The wife had secretly consulted divorce attorneys almost a year before filing the case. At the same time, she continued presenting the marriage publicly as stable. Family photos, social events, holiday celebrations, everything carefully maintained. The courtroom started understanding something terrifying. This divorce had not exploded suddenly. It had been prepared quietly, step by step. The husband finally spoke for the first time, and the room immediately froze, because after hours of silence, every word mattered now. He spoke calmly. No anger, no revenge, just exhaustion. He admitted the marriage became distant years earlier, admitted work consumed too much of his time, admitted mistakes, but he denied betrayal, denied abuse, denied manipulation. Then he said something nobody expected. He explained that he discovered the affair months before the divorce filing, but stayed silent for the children. The room shifted again. The wife looked down briefly. The husband explained that he began documenting everything quietly after noticing unusual financial activity. At first, he thought it involved fraud against the business. Instead, it led somewhere else entirely. The defense attorney then asked for permission to submit one final document into evidence. A single document. Thin, ordinary-looking. Nothing dramatic about it. The judge accepted it casually at first, then started reading, and suddenly stopped. The courtroom noticed immediately. The judge looked up slowly, then back down at the paper again. Silence spread. The document was years old, signed during the early immigration years of the marriage, buried among legal paperwork connected to residency filings and financial disclosures, almost forgotten. Except it wasn't forgotten by the husband. It was a post-nuptial agreement, legally binding, properly notarized, and devastating. The agreement clearly outlined financial protections in the event of infidelity or concealment of marital assets. The courtroom froze completely, because suddenly everything changed. The wife's attorneys requested immediate review. The judge allowed it. Minutes passed in silence while pages turned carefully. Then came the final blow. The agreement specifically limited entitlement to shared wealth if either spouse intentionally concealed extramarital financial relationships. The hidden transfers mattered now. A lot. The recovered messages mattered now. A lot. The timeline mattered now. Everything connected suddenly. The wife's confidence disappeared for the first time. Not dramatically. Quietly. Like someone realizing the ground beneath them no longer existed. The judge requested additional verification of signatures and filing authenticity. The defense was ready instantly. Certified records, legal witnesses, immigration documentation, everything aligned, perfectly. The same perfection that once protected the wife now destroyed her case instead. The courtroom atmosphere completely reversed. Hours earlier, the husband looked finished. Now people were staring at him differently. Not as a villain, as someone who stayed silent while being buried alive publicly. The judge recessed again before final rulings. Nobody moved quickly. The room felt stunned, because everyone understood what just happened. The entire direction of the case had changed because of one forgotten document sitting quietly for years. And the terrifying part was this. The truth had almost lost anyway, not because evidence was missing, but because emotion arrived first. When the final ruling came days later, the courtroom was packed. The judge spoke carefully. The children would remain financially protected. Their stability mattered most. But the wife's request for 85% was denied completely. Several hidden financial activities were now under separate investigation, and the post-nuptial agreement would heavily control asset division moving forward. The wife sat motionless. The husband remained calm. No celebration, no visible relief. Just silence again. But this time, it felt different, not defensive, free.